What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your sun sign horoscopes for this solar eclipse in Aries. So happy to have you here. It is April 19th, 2023. For some of you, this eclipse might be April 20th, 2023. So, yeah, we're here. It's exciting. Of course, I did a horoscope. Do I have audio? Or do I need to restart this? Let me know. I want to make sure before I just go into all these signs that I have audio, and I'm not 100% certain. I did update my OBS, and it might have changed a setting. Yeah, I got audio? Cool. Good. Yeah, should be good. I don't know why it said that. All right. Audio is good. Good. So yeah, it's a big eclipse. It's a hybrid. Hybrids are pretty rare. We haven't had one since 2013. A hybrid eclipse, for anybody that doesn't know, is where the sun and the moon are so close to the node that it's really a total eclipse, and the moon and the earth are close to each other for its pass with the moon going between the sun and the earth. So what happens is, depending on where you are, you get a different effect, either a total eclipse effect or an annular eclipse effect. So it just kind of depends on like proximity, but there are, a somewhat rare eclipse. So we live in somewhat rare times. The last one was in Taurus at 19 degrees, and it was South Node Taurus, of course. So right around where Uranus is at, kind of interesting. Saturn was in Scorpio, so another water sign for Saturn. Interesting stuff in case anybody was wondering. So yeah, this is going to be, of course, I'm going to go through all 12 signs. Looking forward to it. It is live, of course, so if you catch the replay after the live, I will have things time-stamped. But during this live, they're, of course, just going to go in order. Aries through Pisces. So, looking forward to it. Damn, this eclipse and retrograde energy, I'm feeling it. Yeah, Mercury's definitely slowing down here. It's not going any farther than 15 degrees. And really just 12 hours after this eclipse happens tonight, Mercury will be in Gatorade, as they say. So I guess we got to inwardly process some of these changes and values and get things, put together. It'll be good. It'll be good. We're learning lots, and maybe it feels like there's so much initiating that we got to take a step back and recoup before we go forward. It's very possible. Remember that eclipses too are, this energy plays out for the eclipse cycle. It's about 6 months, right? So this energy lingers a little bit. It's another background layer to our lives, to the other transits, and it's always a pretty, big deal, if you will. Some call them fated times. I tend to agree. I heard a quote the other day that was, only a fool tries to understand destiny. I thought that was funny. There might be truth to that. I don't know, but we'll see. Well, we'll get started here. We will start off with Aries first. It is a solar eclipse in Aries, so fitting that we start with the Ram. Well, Aries, this is going on in your first house. So a lot of this, is about you. And this is good for you. This is reshaping and re-empowering your identification of yourself. All these transformations you've gone through in terms of who you are, your place in the world, what you're doing here. This is like taking you to that emperor level. But you got to be able to push through. That's going to be the hard part because your ruling planet Mars is in your 4th house in Cancer. So what this does is it makes where this is trying to push you to just instinctually act, to almost use your Aries impulse to charge forward, to ram your head into situations in life that you feel identified with and that you feel, bring value to your life. But Mars here, it's definitely making a mutual reception with the moon in this eclipse. So I think it's, better than it could be. But when you get the feeling, you have to trust and act on your instinctive feelings. This is like, and two, with all this second house energy and Mercury about to go retrograde and the North Node in your second house, your body, when your body speaks to you, there's a reason for it. And it's trying to empower you. Chiron's in your sign. I mean, Mars is really starting to square that Chiron. This is a test of your strength, of your courage to be that Aries, to be that leader, to charge forward, to blaze a path. So I think it's an extremely empowering time. Jupiter's in your sign. This is where you can be larger than life. But you can also doubt your emotions, doubt your feelings, doubt your instincts, or the worst case scenario with Pluto in your 11th, square this energy, is that you just fall into line and keep doing what everybody else is doing. Or that you try to control others based on your own desire for safety. Now, I know you want safety, security, and money and manifestations, but with Pluto squaring the nodes, and with this eclipse opposite, the South Node even, and square Pluto in Aquarius, this is like you get to blaze the trail with your most unique version of yourself. It gives you the freedom here, if you choose to use it, to break chains, to liberate yourself, to find your empowerment of who you are, and to just run with it and own it. And this is where you can be an extremely powerful leader in the world, but it's not going to be the situations where you're controlling people or getting people to fall in line, or if you're falling in line. Like, you want to like do things completely your way right now, for what value is, for what you're feeling. Everything your body tells you is telling you to break out. And it can feel like there's breakdowns on this journey, on this beginning, on this start. But that's just, this is like self-discovery to its fullest. Because you are here to be the unique one right now. Pluto's going to be in your 11th house. This unique, different approach to life that you're here to be a leader for. But it takes courage and strength to do that, and it's not going to feel super safe. And this is where I think with a South Node in your 8th house, like, if you're just relying on someone else, to kind of come in and make things better, or to change your world, or to give you some kind of a confidence boost, absolutely people will show up for you when you need it. But I think you'll get the best benefit from people or from others if you just believe it with yourself. If you can really empower yourself to ignite the fire under your booty and go after life right now and start inventing ways. And I think that there'll be an intense need for you to reinvent certain situations and to like really start twisting the knobs on your experience of life here. But if you're going to, psychoanalyze every situation, or worry about what other people want or what other people are doing, and you're going to, kind of follow the leader, that's where you might see like cataclysmic sort of events take place in your life that are trying to get you out of that. You're here to break free right now. And even with Saturn making great aspects to these nodes for this eclipse, with the trine to the South Node and the sextile to the North Node, you got to take initiative and be disciplined for all of the awakening that you've had, for all of the consciousness that you have stepped into. And there's like tests here. Are you going to fall back in line and keep doing what everybody else does? Are you not going to be a leader? This is like cycle pattern breaking to its fullest. Because it could be easy to just stay, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over again because it worked in the past and it brought me some kind of empowerment. I have some kind of attachment. But Pluto in your 11th saying, no, don't be attached right now. Be non-attached to situations so that you can break molds, break chains in your life. And maybe that's where, you do need to, and you might even realize over these next 6 months here, and even over these next, almost 2.5 years, but really like 2 years at this point, a little over, with Saturn in your 12th house in Pisces, that you got to give yourself some time. You got to give yourself alone time. You got to figure out what your feelings are. And that's going to be the hard part here, is understanding your emotions, because they can be intensified and people can ignite your emotions. Family could ignite your emotions. Relationships could ignite your emotions. Any kind of committed sort of relationship that we might be in right now, they can ignite patterns that we have to be conscious of. And sometimes it is by taking yourself away from situations to understand what's going on with you and your body and your feelings and what's going to empower you. That's going to help you break cycles. And the biggest thing here is remembering you can do this on your own. You can acquire the life you want. You can have everything you need. You do have to believe in yourself. Jupiter's in your first. Chiron's there like, oh, can I? Yes, absolutely you can. But you have to know your values. And you have to stand firm in your values of who you truly are. Just you. And other people are going to do different things. Other people are going through transformations too. Maybe not in their first house, maybe not about their identification or their appearance or just the way they present themselves in this world, quite like you are, but they're going through their own transformations too. So it's understanding too that like you have to have the courage to not get sucked into other people's dramas, other people's intensities, what the world's doing. You need to hyper focus on you. And not in like a selfish manner, not in a I'm going to push people away just to push people away manner, but in a way that you're not succumbed to influence from the outer world. And that goes into people, relationships, everything. Internet, whatever it is. That's going to do what it's going to do. And it's, Aries, I'll be honest with you, it's none of your business. It really isn't. You are trying to understand your mission, I think, with God right now, and only you can do that by your feelings and what that's leading you to do. And you've got to check in with number one, and that's you first, every single time. And if you do, and you're able to separate and give yourself the alone time to understand what the emotions are feeling or telling you, or what your feeling is telling you, and then you're able to act powerfully, you're going to reinvent the world. But you're not like having to step up and do it in some crazy, manner, some anarchy sort of way. Like you're doing it by leading by example. This is your eclipse to lead by example with your uniqueness, your strength, your potency, and knowing yourself and uplifting yourself and feeling confident in who you are and what you're here to do. Even if you have no idea what you're here to do, you should be confident that you're here for purpose. And that as long as you believe in yourself, as long as you know that you can always keep going, even if you got to take a step backwards, that you will keep reaching further and higher, and you will break ancestral chains, you will break chains from this lifetime, and you can really start connecting to the version of yourself that you came here to be, that is the most powerful, the most strong. And that's where you're going to be a leader. In the old ways in this world, leaders had to get up and prove themselves. Show some validation to why they should be followed. That's not what you're here to do right now. You're here to lead in a new way, and that's literally just by being yourself and living your life and acquiring the life of value that you want to move you forward and to help you feel more strong, steady, and potent than ever. I can't even put words to the vibration that gives off to the universe and the collective to make immense changes. So this is an extremely potent time for you. Remember that during this transit, during this eclipse energy, you're going to see the nodes shift into your sign, the north node's in your first house, just amplifying this need. It's not about everybody else. And trust me, you're going to want connection. You're going to desire it deeply with people and relationships. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can have relationships. You can be a part of groups. You can do things with other people. But you're going to have to take time away from that desire in life to focus on your wants, needs, instincts, and yourself. And this is a great time for you to start saying no if it doesn't feel like the most unique, authentic version of yourself is going to be able to be expressed in whatever is to come. So, wishing you the best, Aries. This can definitely be intense and emotional, and you can feel like you're getting a radical shift of self. And certain things are going to happen that are going to throw you for a loop, and you're going to, maybe get stuck trying to crack an equation that can't be cracked, or try to get deeper and deeper, or ask all these questions. You don't have to go outside of yourself to ask any question. This is the time for you to trust yourself that you have the answer. And if you're willing to feel what that answer is and act on it, I really do think that you'll see some of the most potent, innovative expressions of life get created because of your doing and self-empowerment in that process. And you don't have to control anything. You just have to be responsible for yourself, your feelings, your values, your life, and your faith. And you'll start to change the world because you're changing. So, wishing you the best, Aries. Hope that's helpful. All right, we'll move on to Taurus. Taurus rising. Well, this is a lot of 12th house for you, Taurus. Eclipse in your 12th. This is going to feel it's going to feel like there's a lot evaporating from reality for you. And this can, lead to some mental situations in life. You have your ruling planet in Gemini in your second house. You want to be careful here that you don't slip away from reality, and that you don't try to numb things away, because the universe is going to, in its own way, try to get you in the right flow that it wants you to be in, but it's going to dissolve situations in your life. And you want to let that happen naturally as possible. And I know Taurus is one of the most natural signs, fixed earth. The more you can be in that Venus second house in Gemini, the better, because information's going to show up, and it's not a time for you to be a bull in a china shop. And you are a bull, but don't be in a china shop trying to just force your way down aisles. You're just going to knock everything over and break it. This is like a time to find the intuitive route that's a little bit more smarter, and that's cleaning things up and not destroying certain areas of your life. And I think you want to, really hone in on what your truth is and how to express that in a, nurturing, especially a self-nurturing way. I think that will help you so much. But this is, it's right before your birthday here. It's like, whoa. You have Uranus in your sign, the North Node in your sign. Mercury's about to retrograde in your sign. You're getting an ego check, right? Because you're finishing up this version of yourself that you found. And you're putting the final touches on it, but there's still parts that don't belong. And that's what this is trying to kind of wipe out over the next 6 months and clean up. But in a way that you can't really control. And you're going to want to chill out in the 12th house. Really take time to yourself. That's one of the best things you can do. That's why the 12th house does rule prisons, institutions, hospitals. That's the universe's way of giving us a timeout when we don't give ourselves one, so that we can reflect and feel things. It's also when we, do a bunch of dirt in life or mess things up, and that's not always how it goes, but we have to take time to, sit with ourselves and God and contemplate. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go to jail or prison or the hospital here, but you got to give yourself that time out. Anytime you can sit with yourself, meditate, do your spiritual practices, things that help you feel really connected with God, you're going to empower yourself. And it's going to give you strength moving forward, that Pluto's, going to be in your 10th house for 20 years here. They're going to help you leave a mark on the world at some point, and really break down what you thought the goals in life were, what you thought your position was, so that you can really, really find out what that is. So I just think that for you, Taurus, you do want to be slow right now. You do want to chill out. Trust me, life's going on. You're going to want to do things. Don't get me wrong. By all means, live your life. But when you feel like you need a time out, please give yourself that time out. You will have vivid dreams. You will have, almost like, even if you're not doing psychedelics, you'll have like psychedelic experiences where, something's going to come through and, show you intuitively, psychically, what needs to be done and what doesn't. So whenever you're feeling lost or you're feeling confused or like you just can't understand what's going on, surrender and stop trying to hack the matrix, if you will, in some, physical fashion. The hacking of the matrix for you is going to be through realizing you have angels around you right now with Jupiter in your 12th that are supporting you to see the bigger picture and to see how everything is connected and how everything has purpose, whether you understand it or not. And you can get so linked to your understanding of what value is, and that's good as long as it's a focus on yourself and what you need. South node's in your 7th, North node, Mercury, Uranus are in your 1st. It's important to act on those feelings, to act on your intuition, to act on your impulses. And you don't need, it's relationships are beautiful, don't get me wrong. People are beautiful. But don't attach yourself so potently to what other people are doing either. You're having to really tune into what's going on in the universe within you so that you can act and understand more about who you are and what's empowering you as the person that you are with your truth and your connection, whatever beliefs that may be or whatever your faith is. This is a great time to empower that connection. And, with the South Node in the 7th and the 12th house with this eclipse, there's hidden enemy elements to the 12th house. But you don't have to psychoanalyze or worry so much about what other people are trying to do either. Similar to Aries. Unless somebody's physically attacking you, which is more of a 6th house thing, because it's opposite of the 12th and the 12th is hidden, you could be making up a story in your head. And the only way I think to figure out if this is real or make-believe in certain situations, especially regarding other people, is to take time to sit with yourself in whatever manner that may be, so that you're not just projecting something that isn't true to who you are and true to your truth and your values, but some, story, fantasy. The 12th house rules fantasy. So this can be a beautiful fantasy for many of you that know your value, know who you are, can take time outs in life, don't have to force things, but can be in the flow with the universe and with life right now, to use your imagination to create, to get lost in the beautiful things that this world does have to offer, music, maybe movies even. There's positive ways to escape and to get messages, or just to feel comfortable and safe. And there's other ways where you can, kind of get a little too chaotic here, and you're going to want to tone that down. This could be a hard 6 months for Tauruses that have addiction problems. I'm just going to be honest, with a 12th house eclipse and Chiron here and Jupiter, that could go south. That could land you, somewhere you don't want to be to take a time out. Because this is trying to dissolve patterns. It's trying to get you out of, loops that are not, in many ways, connected to your divinity, but also your identity. Pluto's square this in your 10th, which I think is an intense, transformation that you're going to feel, is that your position in society is changing. Or you can feel like society's trying to control you, or the governments, or, people that are maybe a tier above you. If you have a boss, if you work for somebody, you can feel like they're just making everything worse. The 12th house is the house of the martyr. It's a very victimized house. It loses its sense of self, and it feels disempowered. And Pluto squaring this can, have that disempowered effect too. Again, people, it's not really important what other people think or want. I mean, find fairness, find equality, be aligned, but know yourself, know your worth, and know what you're feeling and what needs to be done without, really just shoving it down people's throats too. Like, I don't think you have to do that right now. Pluto's going to wipe away the hierarchy system when all's said and done and show you what your purpose is one way or another in the next 20 years. So right now, let things dissolve. Don't attach yourself or be so obsessive about some place in the world. If you're so obsessed about a career or a job, I feel like with the 12th house eclipse and Pluto in your 10th right here, like, it's going to, something's going to backfire. Something's going to blow up. Something's going to change to force you to understand another angle. So by all means, work hard. Stay in alignment with your integrity and, go after goals. I'm not telling you not to do anything, Taurus, but you have to find some kind of a level of non-attachment here too, and realize it's not your job to control everything. If anybody in the zodiac right now has to learn that they don't have total control, it's probably you, to be honest. You have control over your life, your decisions, what you're going to do. That's what's important, and that's what's going to shape and carve a future for you here. And Saturn's in your 11th, making great aspects to the nodes. Like your duty, if you will, with Saturn is to start innovating and doing things differently and, experimenting. And to not just keep doing the same thing over and over again. If you do the same thing over and over again, I think it's going to be hard and you're going to feel very disconnected from yourself. But you also have a great ability right now to create harmony and create win-win situations with the South Node in your 7th and with Saturn in the 11th. You could be a great mediator for change right now. But it's got to come from like your soul and not just an ego, or not just your desires or your wants, or for you to, get a leg up on somebody. Getting a leg up in the world right now isn't as, special as you think. But getting a leg up for what you feel your purpose is and you want to dedicate to that feels unique and authentic to you will get you a leg up. But it has nothing to do with, I think being the boss of somebody. Because that's even Pluto square the nodes. Like, you could want to be the top of the food chain right now. And that's fine. As long as you realize that you're the top of the food chain in your life and you are putting yourself at a high level of value, you'll be just fine. But it's not about power over people. It's about power over self and learning to work with people that will bring a lot of resolution, in my opinion, into your life. Mars is also in your 3rd house, which I think is great for communication. It's great for acting on what you need to do in your environment. It's helping you, juggle tasks. You can stay pretty busy here, but it's also square Chiron in your 12th. You can also stay overstimulated mentally, and that can be frustrating. Because the 12th house it's not a mercurial house, right? It's Jupiter, Neptune energy, Pisces. At some point, you're going to have to trust your feelings and your intuition and not just have some big desire for understanding. So if you can express your emotions, your intuition in ways that make sense, that can also nurture yourself and nurture others, you'll really start to do very well. But it can be a powerful time of expression for you. Just, I think it has to be in alignment with this newer version of yourself that's about to be birthed. And it's getting birthed through this process. So you don't have to try so hard. This isn't like a try hard time. This is like such a flow state for you, Taurus. And to be strong in your expression of what your value is and who you are and what maybe your goals are, but don't obsess. If you obsess, things are going to get really, they'll start to feel nasty, and you'll start to overjudge or analyze situations that you'll never find the analytical truth that you're looking for. You'll only find the truth spiritually and through how you feel, which can have you feeling anxious, I'll be honest. There can be some anxiety that comes up. But only because God's saying that version of who you thought you were has changed. So embrace the new version. Embrace this like really strong, self-confident version of yourself that does not need something in the world to give you validation for how beautiful and powerful and successful you can be. So I hope that's helpful, Taurus. Gemini. All right, solar eclipse in your 11th house. Not bad, Gemini. I mean, I feel like this is definitely a time for you to, I think, understand that you can really reinvent your place in the world, and that you have such a, amazing ability to reinvent life, to really do things your way. And I mean, you had a Mars retrograde in your sign. You've had Venus retrogrades over the past few years. You had the North Node there. The North Node's in your 12th. You're about to come into the Sun in your 12th. You're at a great, spot here to really reinvent yourself, and then take a moment to sit with the uniqueness of who you are and to embrace that. And I think that, of course, the 11th house it deals with ideals. It deals with like your future. You could be, really looking into the future over the next 6 months about what you want to do, what kind of people you want to be around. It definitely deals with people too. It could bring some intense changes with people. There could be groups that change in your life. Or if you haven't been in a group and you've been a little isolated, this could, help you find the right tribe type energy. Pluto's in your 9th. Square this. You're about to have a Mercury retrograde, so Mercury station in your 12th. But I think that Pluto square from your 9th is, definitely trying to say that there's new ways to... There's always a different way to go on the journey. And sometimes it's not about the destination or being so focused on where you're going on this journey of life, or what the big, picture is, or where you're really aiming, or what your faith is. But it's about the journey is the destination. And I think like by connecting to that frequency, you can find a lot of positivity here. And you can teach a lot of people how to disconnect in ways that are limiting their own beliefs. And it's a good time for you to stop limiting your beliefs, because this is where beliefs can almost stop you from this breakaway, and this breakthrough that you could have. You could say, no, I don't believe that's true. Your beliefs are powerful right now, but you got to use them in a hopeful manner. You got to use them for positive ideals, a positive future. And to realize it's not so much about the end goal, it's about just going out and experiencing and being adaptable. And this is where you can hyper-focus on some belief of how everything's supposed to happen, or how people are supposed to be, or groups, or friends, or what the future's supposed to look like. And then if it doesn't look that way, you can feel like things are just shattered, and you can almost lose faith. And, maybe that's how it has to go for some people. Maybe you have to, have a belief shattered to see the truth. Because the truth can always evolve and change. It doesn't have to be so stagnant. And Pluto is trying to evolve your beliefs. Could be forced to travel. Could be forced to, maybe get out of the community to go, experience something. Could be a little shocking. And I feel like you will shock a lot of people with this eclipse energy, Gemini. Like you're going to start to, there's going to be a shock factor that could definitely show up. But this is where you could be an extremely powerful teacher at the same time. And I think you just have to really tune in to your intuition, the non-linear aspect of things. You kind of have to get out of your right brain, you kind of have to get out of your mercurialness and, go a little bit more Jupiter, I feel like. A little more Jupiter, Uranus. And channel. This is like a great time for channeling, writing. You're definitely, being asked to stop doing things the way, again, for a lot of these first couple signs, it's like you don't have to do, the 11th house doesn't want to do what everybody else does. It can conform, and it can become very socialistic in that aspect and, become, just line up. That's, the best thing for the social just cause is just everybody fall into line and do this. But I don't think that's going to happen with you, Gemini. I feel like you're going to be more rebellious and start to realize this uniqueness that you have that can really change so much of the world. You're here to show people how to be adaptable, but this is where, you could be a little rigid yourself. So you got to get back to your truth, get back to, I think, tuning in and not looking at everything so particular or linear or have just, some ideal that I got to keep investigating this, and this to get to the bottom of it. I think, you're in a special place where you can, if you trust your intuition and find value in your intuition and take moments to get into that side without, constant stimulation, I think you'll do great. So this is definitely a time where you can feel like you have to isolate a little bit to find what's speaking to you, without getting so focused on reality. Like you can do a lot here in reality. You can get so, on schedule, on routine, be so, almost a little bit obsessed even. Pluto square these nodes. Almost a little obsessive about how you believe everything needs to go day in, day out. I feel like you got to break routine a little bit here. Something's trying to spark a change for you. I think it's, your uniqueness that wants to experience something different. And it's kind of like breaking habits. So I feel like you're in a place where you're kind of breaking a habit that you've kind of gotten really firm on, that it doesn't need to be so firm. Like you should really focus on being adaptable and start tweaking things, turning knobs in life. You get that feeling. I don't know. I need to tweak this. This is like, you're going to start tweaking things more. But you don't have to be so investigative of the process or, judgmental of any aspect or even of other people's beliefs or what other people are doing. You're coming into such a uniqueness and, coming into being such a visionary for what you think is the best way forward for humanity. Well, other people are doing the same thing. And it might not be in alignment with yours. That doesn't mean that people are wrong. So you don't need to judge so harshly, because you don't want to be judged harshly either. So I think that's part of like the letting go of certain judgments or peculiar, everything has to be so particular is the right word I was looking for. You have a truth. Everybody has a truth. And you're one of the best signs at understanding that. And I feel like this is testing you to get back to that. And to stay focused. I know that there's a lot in your 12th and you can want to just, completely disconnect from reality at times. And sometimes I really think you do need to with this trans. I'll be honest, you need to disconnect from reality, but you still have to stay persistent for what you feel is really serving purpose for you. And be willing to still be responsible. Like, don't just escape for escape's sake. Escape into creative moments where you feel like you're really building the train tracks to something special, something unique, something magical. You have a 10th house that's Pisces. Your destiny's supposed to be magical. It's supposed to be a fantasy. I think you need to remember to get back into your fantasy life. Not by escaping life, but by not paying such particular attention to every little thing in reality and letting that kind of sweep you away. So I do think your faith is changing, and you're going to start reinventing a way to be in this world that's more unique to you, and it's going to help you connect to people better. And you're not going to feel the need to control your day-to-day life as much. You're going to start realizing you can, surrender that, take control of your life, your destiny, your future, and your journey. And not worry so much about how every stop. I'll be honest, Pluto in your 9th square, the South Node in your 6th, it just feels like going on a road trip and having every single stop on the destination planned. Well, in 300 miles we'll stop at this gas station, and then we're going to take a little detour over here, and we're going to stop in this town and go to this place, because stop going to all the tourist sites. Stop having everything so planned. Start living more free based on how you feel. I feel like too, with all the 11th house and Pluto in your 9th, this really is like your chance to experience more freedom in life, but you can't obsess over every little thing that has to happen. Freedom doesn't really have a plan like that, believe it or not. That's why the 6th house squares the 9th house. It just doesn't work that way. You're supposed to be a little bit more in the moment, which is something you can be great at and likely are. Venus is also here in your 1st house. Mars is in your 2nd house. I think you can feel really good about yourself right now. Absolutely. This is a time to feel good, to feel confident, to feel strong, sturdy. You definitely have those things in your favor. Because if you can feel strong right now in your innovative self and your unique self, even if it's different from what everybody else is doing, but you're listening to your gut, your intuition, changing your reality, stop living in such a bubble almost, but move slowly for what feels good and divine and beautiful to you, regardless of what other people think or believe. You're going to do great. You're going to make a lot happen. You're going to start, I think, really putting the effort forward for what you want to acquire, what you want to have. And I think that this can be extremely freeing when all is said and done. And it might feel constrictive, and it might feel like there's no way, but this is your beliefs, challenging you to let them be reinvented and to stop limiting yourself, but to really look bigger at life. Cancer. All right, Cancer. Well, big one for you, of course. It's a new moon hybrid solar eclipse. So new moons, full moons, eclipses, they're always a big deal for you because your ruling planet, of course, is the moon, and it's square Pluto in your 8th. This is extremely transformative for you, Cancer, in so many different ways. Your purpose, things that you want to dedicate to, be responsible for. There's such a shift taking place that's going on deep within you, and you're kind of being alchemized, right now. And it can feel like a lot of lead is trying to turn into gold, and that can be a painful process at times. It could feel like changes in what you thought was the career, the destiny, have to take a new start, have to take a new beginning. Or you just have to really empower yourself and not, play any kind of a wound in life. You have to ask questions. And I think you're going to be a really deep investigator because you're going to feel things so deeply about what you want out of life and what you feel your purpose is, that you'll find the answers, but, the answers might show up in ways that you don't like what you see. But are you willing to transform. Because I think this is where you're going to start to see big purpose. You know, this is where maybe Cancers are going to start trying to get a little bit more, you know, public image time, a little bit more screen time, if you will. But to be seen and to be recognized. And I think that that's good. And I think that you do need to kind of come out of your shell a little bit, if you will, and put effort into areas of life that you really want and to stay dedicated. And you can start to see goals maybe shift during this time because of transformations that are going on within you. You could feel like you have to manipulate things. I mean, I'll be honest, like that could be Pluto too, square this energy in your 10th. Is feeling like you need to manipulate the system to get higher up in it, taking advantage of people to climb a ladder, if you will. And I don't necessarily think people watching this are going to do that, but it's good to know that if you feel like you have to get like one over on somebody to get up higher in the world, like, you know, good luck. I mean, North Node's in your 11th house. You want to create win-wins here still. You want to, you know, see the equality in people. You can't put all of the focus just on yourself either, with Pluto squaring the nodes and a south node in your 5th. So that's where this could be a struggle, Cancer, is you could feel like you have to, you know, be seen and so special and so maybe admired or helped through situations right now that you're not creating any type of win-win. And you're not seeing that other people are special too, because you're so worried about what you want to achieve. You can achieve so much, but don't use people. Don't manipulate people. It's not going to work out well, and things will, you know, get a little hectic. Only because they're trying to transform and show you that there's deeper, you know, there's karma with Pluto in the 8th house. You'll have karmic effects. You know, things, you know, energy, you know, ripples out. So I think paying attention to the frequency that you're emitting from a deep empowerment place of knowing your power, knowing who you are. You have Mars in your 1st. To be a powerful individual, to know who you are, to move strongly. And then Mars is square Chiron in your 10th. You know, you're here to right now to move powerfully, to reinvent life, and to, you know, take on responsibility and get some kind of a goal achieved. Just you don't have to manipulate people to do it. And I think that the more you focus on how to be strong by yourself, the more that you also realize how special other people are, and the more that you can connect with people here, the more you'll see that people do want to come in and help you, and they can help you get further. You'll start to see people are the gift for you right now, Cancer. They want to see you succeed. They want to help you. Don't abuse that, is all I'm saying. Saturn's in your 9th house. You're getting great aspects to these nodes. I mean, Saturn wants you to take the initiative to go and see more, to experience, to go on a journey. But he's not going to make it easy for you. He's going to try and limit you, keep you stuck in a bubble. Especially if it's just like if you're being too selfish. You're going to be restricted from a bigger, brighter, happier future in many ways. But if you believe that you are powerful, and you believe that others are powerful and strong and can do it just as well as you can, well, shoot. This could be the time. This could be the 6 months where you make huge connections, reach higher than ever before, get over your ego, get over a sense of, well, I'll just pull these strings here to get what I want here. No, I don't think that's going to help you very much. Because the 10th house deals with integrity too. Everything that you do right now that comes from integrity and a very like beautiful place. Even Venus is in your 12th house. You almost want to like see that everybody is so beautiful and connected. And I think, maybe go into fantasy, even if it's not reality, like start to envision how everything is trying to work harmoniously together in this reality. And that if you can see that other people are beautiful and special, they're going to see it in you. And I bet people will want to come through and help you. And also, Pluto in the 8th, people could take advantage of you. If you think that you're going to just give something up and let somebody else call the shots for you too, and just, come through and save the day to get you, to rise up, it could be, you could be manipulated too here. I'll be honest with you. So you do want to be objective. You don't want to let, I would say, honestly, like your heart and your passion, run too wild. You really do want to be objective and smart and pay attention so that you can really see what's going on, while still having the faith that people are good, even if they're not. I know that probably sounds really weird. And people are good, but, there are people on this planet that don't do good things, whatever good is, to you. It doesn't really, I'm not here to say what's right or wrong. But this is a big eclipse for you. And it really is trying to help you reinvent your destiny in many ways. Not that it needed it, but maybe just a conscious understanding and a conscious desire that you're seeing that there's a change taking place. And that you can find a lot of empowerment within yourself, and that there's always something deeper going on, whether you realize it or not. And that people are your friend. Believe it or not, people want to help you. But if you give too much authority to that, you can get taken advantage of too and have to relearn how to trust. So trust plays a big role in this too, and I think you have to be objective to know when to trust and when not to trust without, again, letting like emotions and heart get in the way. So that's kind of the trick. But I think when you get the intuitive yes, the impulse in your gut that you have identified as yours, it's important to act on that and to act, fearlessly. I'll be honest, Pluto in the 8th can test your fears. Or fears of, stepping up and doing more in the world. Taking on more energy, taking on more responsibility. And if it does feel that way, it's just trying to show you that you can. You have a lot that you're here to show people. But it can feel like you have to hide. So don't hide it. This can be a coming out for a lot of Cancers. And it can really expand things, but this is like up to you to not restrict yourself from expansion. Yeah. A lot of like re-innovating of yourself because of like a lot of deep alchemy that's going on. And I think, just not being too selfish either, because I feel like this could be a time, just South Node in the 5th, like you could be, a little real Mars in your first. I'll be honest, like you could be a little too stuck in your way. Remember that working with people will help. Excuse me. Other people have good ideas too, and they could teach you something. So remember that it's good to listen to others as well, but take what's yours and leave what isn't, and make decisions for your future. and empower yourself to, really, Cancer, to do more. This is your time to do more. If you want things, go after it. Set goals. See what you can hit in life. See how much, depth you got. How much power you can muster to make things happen. And as long as you do it in a way that isn't harmful to others or putting other people down to get you higher, I think that you're going to come across people that want to help you, friends. You're going to get help all the way up to the top. But remember that you're not the only one here, and there's other people too, and that you don't have to step on them to get where you want to go. All right, Leo. Leo, you got an eclipse in your 9th house. Not a bad place for an eclipse, I'll be honest, Leo. Not bad. It does deal with beliefs, of course, intensely, especially with the squares to Pluto. Deals with your journey, takes adaptability. It can be stubborn, though, I'll be honest. The 9th house and Jupiter energy, it can be stubborn. It can be very set in its beliefs, in its ways. This is trying to change that and transform that. Try and show you that there's more on the journey, and that especially with Jupiter here, there is a lot that can expand here. But I feel like you can be a little, I don't know, with Pluto there, you could be a little obsessed with the way that it has to look, the way that you think things are in alignment, that it's just the only way. People, it's Pluto in your 7th house. I mean, I think people actually want to see you expand and grow. I think, it can feel like with this square that nobody wants to help you, that nobody wants to, be there for you. Or that, it's just always like somebody else is keeping you confined. Or that you need someone else to go on the journey with you. And maybe you do. I'll be honest, maybe you do. Maybe there can be an intense need to have, companionship for the journey and for, what can expand and grow in your life. And it very well, may be. I just think that you have to, really look at your story, because it is Aries 9th house. This is in your 9th. You really have to look at your story and be honest with yourself. And as long as you can be honest about the sort of intentions of others or what other people want without forcing a story, you'll probably get the help you need. And you'll probably get, good companionship along the way. But I do think with Saturn in your 8th, you're learning to trust at the same time. And this is new energy, having Pluto in your 7th. So I feel like you are in a place, Leo, where, it's like, I want to trust. I want to feel like people want to help me, but you can have a lot of walls up right now. Or believe a certain, situation's just going to happen no matter what. So I think this is trying to change your beliefs, to empower you. There are people here that want to amplify and help you transform your vision, your journey, your beliefs, your truth, that want to see you grow and expand. And yeah, you know what? With Pluto there squaring this, there's people that don't too. And you can't trust everybody, so you have to be discerning. But I think that, this is going to be the big challenge for you. And with Pluto squaring the nodes in your 4th and your 10th, that's a big one too, because it's like, if you just stay in safety and comfort, and you don't try to take a little bit of a risk and expand and stay dedicated for what you want to see grow, or just for growth in general, whether it's about your work, whether it's about your career, your destiny, your purpose. If you don't, it does remind me a little bit of just wanting, again, like, not, it needs to adapt, Leo. The adaption will take you to your goals. And I think that, Mars in the 12th makes it a little difficult because it can, bring some really stuck energy, and it's squaring Chiron in your 9th. It's kind of the same like what I mentioned for Taurus. Like, you don't need to be a bull in a china shop right now, but you do need to act on your feelings. You do need to act on your intuition. You do need to desire to kind of move with God here. And I mean, with Chiron in the 9th and Mars in the 12th and in this, square here, like, it can be hard to have faith that things are just going to work out. And even the 9th house can deal with faith too, right? So I think that's where you kind of just have to have faith and keep going and not get, too lazy or stagnant in the same way. This is a trying to have you, I think, embrace even fears to help you transform, and to know that, Saturn in the eighth house deals with people coming into your life. It deals with merging. When two people come together, they become more powerful together. You got, that's why, look, bank accounts, right? It's a good example of the 8th house. You get married, you merge bank accounts, you have more money. Like, people can really bring some solid, structure into your life. But it's hard to trust with Saturn there too. It wants to put a wall up. It wants to kind of, I don't know. And with Pluto in your 7th, I feel like you could, have these big beliefs that, like, nobody wants to come in and merge and help you. But I think if you really tune into your intuition, if you tune into your faith, and you stay, persistent about your goals, and you keep working, I do think for sure you'll see that people are going to come in and help you get to where you want to go. They're going to help you see the bigger picture. They're going to help you see all the adaptation qualities that'll make your life, more. Because the 9th house is just more. So this is just a lot, really, Leo. It's a lot. Jupiter's there. There's always more. And again, I think, like I mentioned earlier, I think for Gemini maybe, but it's not always about the destination. The journey is the destination. So keep your goals. Stay persistent. Work hard. Trust people. Believe that people are good too. Venus is in your 11th house. There's I think people want to help. People want to be your friend. People want to help you, innovate in this world. You can find a lot of value if you start tweaking things around too and experiencing, being open to possibilities. And I will say, with Mercury kicking off with a retrograde in your 10th and Uranus there, yeah, I mean, it's about staying persistent and working, but, like, you have to make tweaks too. Nothing can stay the same forever. So I think it's realizing that there's value, especially with Venus ruling your 10th house and the North Node and Mercury and Uranus being there, is that the unique little shifts and changes of the truth of the here and now moment have so much prominence in creating your future for what you want to build, and that you do have to be able to trust that energy as well. That if you do adapt and keep going on the journey without, a particular belief around it, You'll be good. Have faith. Try things differently. I think that this is going to show you that your journey is just getting started and you're going to leave a big mark on the world, and that you're going to actually help people connect in really powerful ways, but you have to trust people. You could think people are just the enemy, or that they're trying to control you, and I feel like you can want all this freedom in the ninth house. People might come in and try to control you, but I bet most of them are just trying to see you expand and grow. Because Venus in your 11th is trying to really back this up with we can do this together. And it's off the square to Saturn. And, you have to remember too, you can't put everything on people. Because you could think that with the square to the South node that your emotions and your emotional responses are just tied to people. They're not. You have to take responsibility for your feelings as well here. And that's also Pluto polarity in the first of your sign opposing your planets. Not everything else is trying to halt your journey. If you take accountability, shift things around, try to expand, try to do things differently, trust and have faith, you're going to be just fine. Just remember, there's a lot of people that want to come in and help you on the journey. Not everybody wants to, see you down at the bottom. A lot of people want to see you at the top. So, I think trust is very important for you, Leo. Hope that's helpful. Virgo. All right. Virgo. 8th house. That's a big eclipse. That's definitely a lot of depth of feeling. Transformation, of course. It's trying to show you, too, that there's more, There's more than just you. There's more than just your comforts. There's just so much more. And a lot gets hidden beneath the surface. And maybe you're realizing that you could be hiding a lot underneath the surface over these next 6 months. That you're keeping a lot of secrets and choosing not to express yourself. This is where a lot of Virgos can realize that I think they've been, especially with Pluto in the 6th square this energy, they've been trying to honestly control their reality way, 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 way too much. You can find an immense ability right now to shape and mold life into whatever you want it. This is your great chance to be a powerful alchemist for the reality you want, for the day-to-day life that you want. But I think you have to be willing to be vulnerable. You have to be willing to ask questions, to even have dialogue. And I think with the South Node in the 3rd, dialogue should be no problem. Probably have a lot to say. And it is square Pluto. But what about the North Node in the 9th? What about Mercury, Uranus? What about the bigger vision, the bigger journey, your beliefs? And with squares to Pluto, and Pluto in your 8th, again, a lot of this is your belief structure has to adapt and change also. And I feel like the way you think about things has been so stagnant, and you're kind of set in your ways. And this is where I think that those ways aren't going to hold anymore after this eclipse. It's too transformative. There's too much going on deep inside of you. And so there's like your DNA is getting changed. And I think that the more you resist and, don't adapt and don't continue to grow and just stay, trying to control situations or be so obsessive compulsive about situations or judgmental about situations. That's where Pluto in your sixth with these squares, like, could bring on like an illness, right? Like, you could literally manifest an illness by trying to overpower reality, people. You don't need so much control, and you don't need to, have things so perfect because they meet with some understanding of how your environment needs to be day in, day out. And I think Saturn, it's opposing your first house and it's in your seventh. I think it wants you to, pay attention and get things in alignment. But you have to be willing to transform to get things in alignment right now. You have to be willing to see the deeper truth. I think you're going to ask a lot of questions and you're going to get the truth. And as long as you can adapt and grow and let your beliefs change and not stay, just in your side of the story, you're going to do just fine. And as long as you can express your truth too, in a way that, doesn't have to be so harsh or judgmental. Because the sixth house does rule judgment. Because it's so particular. It's so, this is the perfect, it's OCD about, self and others. Especially self. So you could be way too hard on yourself right now and not letting yourself really like come out of this cocoon. Because that's what this looks like to me too, is like Virgos are like a butterfly, but you're still a caterpillar in a cocoon. You gotta like go through the full transformation process. And I think that you have to be willing to know that it takes time. Your ruling planet Mercury is going to go retrograde in your ninth. You have to be able to not get so focused on the fact and the particularity of things, and start to envision bigger things so that you can get things into the proper alignment that they need to be in. You can, reshape your beliefs in a way that everything doesn't have to be so structured. And I think that you're going to define new structure and you're going to, start to create that. But you got to kind of wait till you're a butterfly, which you will be during this transit, during this eclipse cycle. And it's really going to help you get to the bottom of things. Which I know you want to. And that's what the eighth house will do. That's why it rules, the occult, astrology, alchemy. Like, there's just always more, and it's an infinite rabbit hole. And if you ask enough questions, you can learn a lot. And the ninth house also rules education. So I think this it's a great time, Virgo, to realize you don't know everything. You don't have everything figured out. And it's perfectly okay. And you don't have to be so hard on yourself and others. And that people want to help you too. I think the eighth house shows that, like, this is going to be a magnetic time for you. People are going to be coming in. Or the eighth house also rules, of course, magnetics. So it's, one magnet wants to come in, the other wants to repel. So you can see certain aspects of your life repelling, right? It's entries and exits. So I think that's part of the transformation too, is that you have to accept that there's going to be entries and exits in life. Some things are going to get birthed, some things are going to come together, and some things are going to go the other way. It's just part of life. Everything has to die. Unfortunately, in this reality, nothing is, forever. Except for maybe a diamond. Maybe, but does it really matter if we're not forever? So don't try to over control situations Be open to your transformation. Find that deep power and that deep investigative quality you have, to where if you do want to know something, you can figure out why. But you can also get so obsessed with that it takes you into a mental tailspin, because you're looking for some particular truth. And it could involve people heavily, especially with Saturn in your 7th. I think at a certain point you have to realize that the rabbit hole only stops when you decide it stops. And that you also have to have the faith and trust that moving on and continuing your journey and continuing to grow and learn and evolve will give you the answers you're looking for. And with Mars in your 11th and Venus in your 10th, this is great for acting on equality. This is great for innovating, for being unique. I think for breaking, chains in life, especially with Mars in your 11th. Like you really don't have to keep doing things the same way. And I think when you instinctually act on certain experiments in your life, you're going to see that they bring you closer to people. But you have to trust people. Chiron's there. Mars is square Chiron in your 8th. You have to remember it's safe to trust people. You don't want to be scared of people. And I'll be honest, this is one of those eclipses where, fear can be a prominent factor for you. But you have so much to be hopeful for and to see that there's more. Don't let fear run your day-to-day life, would be my big message to you. And don't think that people are just out to get you either. And, put effort into nurturing something that you want to dedicate to. Create a harmonious place in what you want to be responsible for. If you have a job, how do you make your workplace feel like it's more in alignment with what you're growing towards and not what is keeping you stagnant and stuck? So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for Virgo. Hope that's helpful. Libra. 7th house, solar eclipse. Well, fitting for a Libra to have a solar eclipse in your 7th house, right? I mean, this is definitely a big eclipse for relationships. This is intense for relationships. Pluto's in your 5th house, squaring this eclipse. This is intense for, I think, romantic relationships. There can be challenges here. If you want romance in your life, this can be a big desire for it, and to have a desire for a partner. If you're single, super intense. I need romance and passion and love in my life. And if you're in a relationship and you're not getting that, this can also feel like I am not getting what I want that's making me happy. Also, Pluto in the 5th can make you pretty, focused on your wants and needs and happiness. And I think that, if we're looking at the 7th house too, this is a time for balance and alignment too. Equal give and take. The scales have to be even, right? Or the goal is to get them even, as you know. So what do other people want too? What do other people need? This is going to show intensely where situations are being overpowered by you or another, and you're going to have to, have the courage to find alignment. And it's going to deal heavily with people, very heavily. So I think you can't put, everything just as the way you want it, because if you want to relate to people, they have to have it their way part of the time too, and you have to find compromise. So I think this is a big, energy moving forward here, where it's really find compromise. Really focus on I think looking at the reflection of other people in your life and realizing that this is a reflection of you. And that you can't just put everything on other people also. You have to put some, attention and understanding and depth on yourself too. So I think especially for you, Libra, you got to look at all angles here and try to be very hermetic. And I think as long as you can do that, you're probably going to end up dating if you're single. And I'll be honest, there's probably a good amount of Libras that might end up breaking up over the next 6 months if they can't find compromise and they can't get the scales in alignment, because there's a hyper focus here. Like, I feel like Libras, especially if they're on the scale that is getting outweighed on that side of it, they're going to be pretty fired up. So I feel like, if you're cross-watching for a Libra, make sure that there's alignment and things are equal, because I feel like Libras are going to be pretty fired up for their harmony in life, and then making sure that there's equality and that their needs are, being met too. And really, they're going to desire that deeply. And with Pluto in the 5th, they'll roar. Straight up. Like, they're going to have a lot of courage too. So Libra, you're going to have a lot of courage here to get things in to order and start really playing with the scales. But make sure they're fair. Pluto, the opposite of that is the 11th house. You gotta play fair. And also South Node, of course, in your second, where you can really, put a lot of focus on yourself and your wants, your needs, your comforts, your safety, your security. But I think that you really do want to, merge and work with people right now and be in committed situations. And the only way to do that is to find some kind of a balance here between your wants, their wants. A lot of things might go to trial for Libra. Maybe literally, to be honest, but a lot's going to trial, and you have to remember that everything's a reflection of you at the same time, and you have to remember to, make the transformations necessary and to understand that deeper, truth of life, and I think be willing to commit to things and also, to work through things too, because Mars is in your 10th house. So like, you want to stay on it, I don't think you want to give up on anything right now in life in general, whether it is relationships or not, or what you're building relationships to. But I don't think you want to necessarily give up. And that square to Chiron's kind of harsh, because you can feel like you feel like people or relationships or other aspects are taking you away from your goals, or not letting you kind of go after the life you want to take authority for. Again, they're reflections of yourself. You also have to make decisions for yourself here, and this is your time to make the transformations necessary to empower yourself, to find what is in alignment and what is not. Venus, your ruling planet, of course, is in the 9th. I mean, again, I think that you really do want to stay positive and hopeful. I don't think you need to get like overly intense, but I'll be honest, Pluto in the 5th, square the nodes in the 2nd and 8th, like, that's a pretty intense, that's like ramping up intensity. And honestly, with the North Node in the 8th and Uranus and Mercury here, you kind of need some intensity. Like safety, security, like all this chill, like, Libras get a rap for being passive, right? Well, I think this is where Libras are realizing that they can't just be passive, because it's not keep getting things in alignment. I love the line that is, you're not negotiating if you can't say no. I think Libras are going to really, really, really realize where they've been over-compromising for situations in their life, and that they need to find passion and full emotional commitment. Whether it's to a job, whether it's to whatever they're doing, whatever they have a relationship to, whatever you do, Libra, it's time. It's like it's passion or nothing, or the scales are uneven, and you want to love it immensely. And if you have that, this is great. This is going to be superb, I think, for really the right kind of bonding that's opening up the story that you really want to identify with, that brings a lot of truth and beauty into your life. And you have a lot of energy right now, I think, to make things happen. But it's definitely a big test of like, are you going to remember that it's your life? Or are you just going to put all the energy and effort into it's somebody else, it's somebody else, it's somebody else? Saturn's in your 6th too, which I feel like can be a little stubborn. Just kind of like, no, this is what I do. I'm going to keep doing it. I've been doing it for years. Let's just keep going. You know, Saturn wants you to make changes in your 6th. It wants to change your routine up. It wants to change your reality up. It's been great aspects to the North Node in the 8th. It wants you to trust. It wants you to let people in. It wants you to transform. And you can use your confidence and your self-worth and your value to start molding and changing life and taking authority for how you live on a daily basis and what you can do as a service and work-related aspects in this life, especially with Mars in the 10th on Sirius. That you can do so much when you get into alignment, but this is like your big check on how aligned your life has been up into this point, and are you going to take the authority within yourself to change it and to continue going on the journey in the hopes of alignment? Because really with Libra, the scales are never balanced for very long, right? It's always a balancing act. But I do think this amps Libra up to make any changes they need to. Scorpio. 6th house eclipse. Well, talk about reality shifts, reality changes. Oh yeah. Also, you know, you could be real hard on yourself right now. South node in your sign, finishing up there. It's been there for a while. This is kind of a humbling, I think, for some Scorpios out there. This is where you can feel like maybe your balloon is getting popped. Like the ego balloon just got popped. And you could put a lot of like judgment on certain situations or actions or things that have happened. Maybe that you've done, maybe that other people have done. Like, I don't want to say you're like atoning for sins or anything here, but this does have that kind of like healing, if you will, that's going on. Because I think you're realizing that you can't control every situation. You can't control everything that happens on a daily basis. You're learning so much about other people, North Node 7th, and that you don't actually have control over people. They're other, entities just like you, and they're powerful also. And they have their values, and they, have different aspects that you may or may not have. But it's a great opportunity here to start changing the way you, in many ways, like, feel, because Pluto's in your 4th, squaring this, that you are going to start feeling things so intensely. And you do already feel things intensely as a Scorpio, don't get me wrong, but you can almost like, if you don't release the judgment that you might hold on yourself or even on others, you could make yourself sick. Like emotional, like, trauma. And I think you can start to see changes that go on with home life, family life. Like, just certain aspects that you've built routine around are going to start to transform and change. And you want to find safety and security in change and know that it's good. Change right now is trying to help you find the best partnerships, the best relationships. It's trying to get you out of bad habits that are maybe reflective of just wanting, just such a deep investigation of reality that you get so hyper-focused and OCD about how something has to be. It doesn't always have to be that way. It's such a good opportunity to just start remolding life. Like you have a fresh block of clay in front of you. Don't be so stuck in some, way that you don't want to create something new. Saturn's in your 5th house. I think Saturn wants you to step up and be creative, especially with good aspects to the nodes. Saturn wants you to take authority here for your creative potential, for how you express your creative self, for what you can really create in this life based on what you love and what makes you happy. I feel like if you're not happy, you can sit and wallow in it all you want, or you can take this opportunity over the next 6 months here to really make the changes necessary that bring happiness into your life. But Saturn in the 5th is a weird one because, it's almost like you're I'm happy just being busy. I'm happy, staying in line and doing this whatever, like over and over again. It's almost like I'm happy not being happy. And that's the lesson, is that if you put authority into what makes you happy, what brings love into your life, what makes you sing, literally. If you can put effort into that and relate it to other people, I really think that Scorpio is going to have some of the best transformations out of anybody here. But the 6th house is so hard. It's so mental, but it's also physical. So there's this mental effect that goes on. It very much is like OCD, obsessive compulsive. And with squares to Pluto, it's hyper obsessive. And this is where you got to make that deep foundational change in yourself to really let go of a lot of maybe trauma that you've held on to. Because every Scorpio I know has been through some crazy stuff. I don't know one Scorpio in my life that has lived a life that hasn't gone through some crazy event. And my best friend's a Scorpio, and I've seen him go through plenty. And I know plenty of Scorpios too. I think you have to release the judgment on certain things, and it's really time to move forward. Mars is one of your ruling planets, of course. Pluto is one of your ruling planets. Mars is up here in your 9th. I think Mars wants to look at the bright side of things. If you can, I swear to God, if Scorpio can find happiness and excitement in changing their day-to-day schedule and routine and the things they just do repetitively because of just a schedule thing, but doing the things that they don't even want to do and there's not even passion or emotional commitment there, this is like a positive belief that I can positively, creatively express myself and my reality in new ways. This could be extremely empowering and can really help you, I think, have really strong relationships, really strong bonds. Mercury's going to retrograde in your 7th. I think that it is an interesting time as we're coming into Taurus season. I know it's North Node 7th. It's relationships, do them. But you also, I think, are at a place where it's if you're not getting equality also in relationships, you'll be definitely getting a good look at why and how and whether it's your own doing or if it's, something that you do need to kind of step up and empower yourself, and that may be part of the changes. So there could be some relationship shifts going on that are part of the day-to-day routine change. Or even, part of a humbling effect. But I think this is going to put the final touches on Scorpio in a way that are going to get you just looking so ready and get things so in order and aligned for where things can go and how you can really find empowerment in your root and in your base of your being. And also, I think learn to be really good supporters of others and, also a really good supporter of yourself. And I will say Venus in the 8th is, again, it kind of brings up some like obsessive qualities, I'll be honest. I think you need to learn it's okay to let go of things. And I know you might want to overthink a lot over the next 6 months, but trust your gut, trust your intuition's so good. That's going to show you value. That's going to show you how to trust. I think holding on to things right now are only going to, get ripped from you. So if you can see the signs and you can see that things are out of alignment, you can see that there has to be some change to your life, please, don't hold on. Let things go where they may. And I think a positive trust and faith will help so much with that. Of course, Mars is squaring Chiron. I feel like it can feel like it's so small in some ways right now for Scorpio, and that it's just hard to find hope, and that what difference does it make if I change this or if I change that? Like nothing's gonna get me where I want to go. Like that's the stuff that any kind of self-talk like that is what needs to be shifted and molded first. I think you really have to believe that change can be positive. You really have to believe that if you let go of something, it's only making room for something else. And that if you're not happy or passionate about something right now in life, it's your duty to change that instead of waiting for it to change for you. So, all right, Sag. Fifth house, solar eclipse. Not bad, Sag. I am excited for you for this one. I know the South Node's been in your 12th, and you've had eclipses, going through there for quite some time now, and you're going to have a lunar eclipse there too. And look, eclipses in the 12th and the 6th are probably some of the hardest, and I just, had to give Scorpio some of that. But dang, we're on a 5th house eclipse for you now, in Aries. This is such a potent time of creation for you, for self-expression, for courage. To make, really you're a Sagittarius, right? You want to make things large, big, it's adventurous. Like this is your chance to really express what you want and to create it. And to actualize the life that you feel you're ready to make. This is like such a great time of creation. Like if you want to do something, the only thing stopping you from doing it is you. The North Node's still in your 6th, Mercury retrograde in your 6th. If you want to make a change, if you want to change your reality because you've maybe sobered up to some truths over the last couple years, this is I couldn't think of a better time for Sag to do this. But you have to have courage, I think, to make changes right now. And this is just saying let's start the adventure. Let's go. You got Mars in your 8th house. It is square Chiron. You got Jupiter, your ruling planet, in the 5th. I mean, you can have abundance of happiness and love in this life and even connection. And I think that your passions are strong right now, but if you're not going to trust that acting on your passions will make you happy, or if you're going to kind of suppress yourself right now, I think you're going to feel stuck in the mud. And that's the last thing that I want any Sag to feel right now. I feel like this is the best kickoff I feel like this is what Sag has been needing. So this is don't be scared of your passions. Don't be scared of putting yourself out there. Don't be scared of stepping up into the limelight, stepping up on stage, making an impression, showing off. This is a time to take risks. Like, if you want something, gamble on it. Now, look, be responsible. Don't just go, put it all on black. That's not what I'm saying. But hey, you want to make changes, take a risk, take a gamble. Step up and do it. The only thing to be scared of right now is not believing in yourself. The only thing. You're here right now to let fears dissipate and empower yourself to transform and to change and to live a passionate, fun, exuberant life. At least for right now. And this is your chance for it. Pluto's in your third house, squaring this. This is like your mind, right? Third house, your environment, your expression. Your mind is getting a shift here because it needs you to act and to show what you got, to express your full self, whether it's through words, writing, just adaptability in your environment to transform, to make that take place, to make, change take place. And that you have to believe in something. The South Node's squaring this Pluto, the North Node is, South Node's in your 12th house. You have to have faith, but you also have to have the faith that real physical change and adaptation will bring you the happiness and the expansion that you want, and the romance and the love and the merging. Your desires are strong right now. Don't block yourself from things you want. Express. If you don't talk, if you don't express things, you won't manifest things. But I do think with Pluto in the third for Sagittarius, Sagittarius are gonna talk. Oh, they're gonna talk. Sag, you got to remember to listen to. Look, this is a very special time for you where I think you can, really power through and make just things happen. Just express life. Create life. Create art. Make reality your art. But you have to remember to listen to. This is like a pretty potent time where I think, Sag, you do need to realize that there's other people here. They have truth. They have something to say. Yes, this is a special time for you, but guess what? This is a special time for other people too. And you have Venus in your 7th house. Just remember to, I feel like Sagittarius can overpower a lot of things right now. A lot of people even, they're just going to be overpowering. And I think that it's good. I feel like they need this right now. But remember to create harmony and balance and not to overpower others because of your creative wants and needs and your desires. It'll get you in trouble. Or it'll make you doubt your faith that you were going to create something and then it backfired. Like, you still have to do things from like a humble place. I think from a place that wants to help. A place that wants to, make the world a better place in many ways and something service oriented. Maybe teaching. Saturn's in your 4th, making good aspects to the nodes. I think you do have to put effort into your foundation, your home life, your emotions. I feel like that's where everything is so important for you right now. It's internal more. It's internal environment. It's what's close to you. It's the people that you're around. You don't have to put so much into the world. You don't have to put so much into, it's not like being like larger than life on some TV show. I feel like, or some like crazy position of power. I feel like it's just your opportunity to create a life that you want to freely express and that can create great, connections and mergers and, something that you're really, really into. But if you're not focusing on yourself and being responsible for yourself, or you're, just projecting that other people are the reason and the cause for things in life that isn't going your way, then you're not in a humbled place right now. And that's where Sag is going to get in trouble, because the North Node's in your sixth and all this fifth house and eclipse there, is that if you don't express from a humbled place of at least having some objectivity and understanding of others, and you just become so overpowering, like there's going to be a humbling. And you'll feel like, gosh, Brian said I could create whatever I wanted right now. Well, yeah, but it's got to come from like an authentic, real place within you. Thank you for the donations, Holly, and doing my time. I appreciate that. So remember, this is a great time, Sag. Make things happen. Start making changes. Turn the knobs. This is your life. You create your environment. Express yourself. Make something. Create something. Don't just, sit behind the scenes and do nothing. Reality is your canvas. This is your chance to really paint the reality and the life that you feel free and expressive and true. But just remember that you share that canvas with others. And I think as long as you remember that, this is such a potent time. So Sag, you should be pumped. Capricorn, fourth house. This is kind of a rough one for Capricorn, I'll be honest. This is where your emotions are going to be a big deal. Your home life, your foundation. Is it really in alignment with who you are? Are you ready to feel? Capricorn feels things, but you can push things down because, I'll worry about my emotions later. It's not important. I got, things to do. I got to take care of things. It's not going to work great. You're really going to have to pay attention to feelings. You can't just push things away any longer. Every emotion that comes to you is trying to help you identify a deeper version of yourself. It's trying to help you identify your foundation. You've had Pluto go through your sign, and you probably put a lot of effort into work during that time. You probably put a lot of effort into yourself. You went through transformations, but this is like fortifying the foundation because it needs a touch-up. And if you don't feel what needs the fortifying, and you can't find comfort in the emotions and going through the process, it's going to feel like an emotional roller coaster. And either way, it might feel like an emotional roller coaster, but it's just trying to help you identify your personal life. Because you could put so much effort into the outside world that you're not paying attention to what's really going on inside of you. So you'll see situations in your home life, family life, what do you do with your free time? Do you even have free time? Do you enjoy chilling? Focus on some things that are not so work related, not so involved in the world. South Node in the 11th. Everybody else, what's society up to? What's my friends doing? You got North Node, all this in your fifth house. This really is your time for to find your foundation and your based upon happiness, upon love, upon creativity, being able to manifest for yourself, which you might not have a problem doing, but Pluto in your second house is definitely going to bring some squares over to that energy in your fourth. Jeez. Pluto's going to rebuild your self-worth, and it could tear down what you have already built in some ways. And Saturn left that. Now Saturn's in your third. This is an interesting one, Capricorn, especially with Saturn in your third, because it is your ruling planet. You do want to speak and talk right now, but it's also your environment is so important. I feel like Capricorns are going to be making some like moves, maybe doing some like they're going to put a lot more effort into their home life, basically, and the communities and the things close to them. And I feel like that's where they're going to find a lot of fulfillment and happiness, especially with the nodes shifting into the 10th and 4th house. And I think that it will be hard for some Capricorns having the South Node in the 10th because they're going to be so hyper focused on a career or, big things that they're trying to achieve, and they're going to realize that they've been transformed from that version of Capricorn, and now they're trying to just become more authentic in their leadership and in their integrity that isn't so built around what societal needs might be. And I think this is the first step. So this is kind of a shock factor and kind of an intense transformation of value for Capricorn. That's like shifting value of importance and importance of value into the personal life arena, into the self-worth arena, into taking care of themselves, into being nurturing. It's very interesting. So Capricorns are going through quite the shift here, and it could be mentally straining with Saturn in the 3rd house. But that Saturn making good aspects to the nodes, I mean, if you can see the truth and express the truth about what you need in your environment and what's bringing you happiness and love and getting you more focused on your power to create life and what you can create right in front of your face that is not so not so broadcasted, if you will, to some hierarchy in life or some position in society or some ideal of the world, but to really focus their intent on what they can create in their personal lives. Capricorns are going to make some huge transformations. And it can feel a little weird for them at first because they're almost like they're going to find that they're going to enjoy this so much more. And that it'll probably help them with their career and what they want to do in the long run. And Venus is in the 6th, so it can definitely feel like, a little mundane, a little bland at first because maybe you're expecting more. Or maybe you feel like something, bigger was supposed to manifest or be recognized from it. But it's your recognition because you're finding beauty and purity in your day-to-day life and in what makes you happy and in what keeps you connected to family or the people in your life or just what you do with your free time. Is it stimulating? Is it fun? It's important to have a personal life too. Even having a Libra 10th house, Capricorn, like, it's so funny. Like, you have to balance work and play, right? Work and personal time. Mars is in your 7th, which is good for relationships. I think it's giving you desires to want to do things with people, to want to, share value, to express yourself, to have conversations. Squaring Chiron, though. So it's kind of an interesting one where maybe it's relationships that test your emotions and your security and how to, really work on the comfort within yourself and how to take the responsibility and authority for comfort in your life. Because you can't project your emotional problems and make them, again, about other people. You have to identify and own up to what's going on within yourself and then figure out balanced ways to act upon them in relationships. So I do think that there is going to be a little bit of a balancing act there for like Capricorns who really want to do their own thing and create their own situation and their own personal life and their own routines and happiness, but, making sure that they're not just doing it all for themselves and that they are sharing it with people as well. And that's even where Saturn in the South Node, like friends, groups, ideals, like not transformation, but innovations in life, like still important, but it's more about what's close to you and what you can realize in your mind and then put to physical, work in what's close and what's at home for you. So Capricorns are going to be spending more time, getting their home life in order. Aquarius. All right, Aqua. Third house, very mental, right? But also your environment, things close to you. Definitely getting hit with this one, but I think that's good because it's getting you more into your truth at the same time, helping you conversate, helping you debate. I think maybe even writing, any kind of expression is going to be, something that's of importance. Anytime that, yeah, I think that you're looking for facts will be helpful in your life. You don't want to just be stubborn right now and think that you know it all. I think you want to be open to taking in information as it comes. Listening is important. You don't need to overpower, conversations or interactions. I think that it'll be very important that Aquarius learns to have equal debate, listen, speak, social cues. Maybe this is something that really helps, I think, Aquarius because they're so alien. This is going to like kind of help them get more social and expressive and maybe even not be as aloof to certain situations. And I'm not saying that all Aquariuses are, but this can definitely get, it's almost like getting things sharper mentally. I think because it's really helping them express and who they are. They got Pluto. You got Pluto in your sign. It's square this energy. You're going to start to see your identity shift. You're going to start to see, possibly ego deaths start to come. And not to say that you haven't had an ego death before, Aquarius, because I wouldn't doubt that for a second that you have. But your understanding and expression of yourself is going to be very potent and very powerful. And it could be something that is a little scary at first because you're starting to realize new truths about yourself. And that can be a little, whoa. You can also get a little obsessive over truth and fact and thought. Just constantly going, spinning the wheels mentally. Again, I don't think that that's a terrible thing, but it is, you're going to find some deep truths about yourself in your mind. And sometimes that isn't always, oh, this is lovely. But at the same time, it is because it's going to help you adapt. It's going to help you transform and change and start expressing yourself from a more empowered place. And Saturn's in your second, so it's one of your ruling planets too, right? You're having to re-understand and like rebuild this like self-worth foundation. And I mean, you've never had Saturn in your second house with Pluto in your first house before. So it's just you're starting to see just completely new sides of yourself, and it might feel like it's really hard to find like the confidence in yourself because everything can feel so new right now. So just take in the new, take in the information, accept that there's changes, accept that there's new information. Be a student right now. It's okay to not know everything. I think some Aquariuses are going to, really try to empower and project and try to like just do it with their their words, what they say, what they know. Look, do what you got to do, but realize that it's okay to go through changes in life. It's okay that, look, I'm a Capricorn. I've been through, Pluto in the first. Every time I thought I knew myself, I didn't. Until it was done. And really towards like the very end. So just be open. This is a great chance to learn and to experience and to see different sides of yourself that you've never seen before. And to start really building a foundation of who you are and to start to feel confident in change. You're safe in change, but Saturn here is going to make you feel like, nope, not a chance. Not a chance. You suck. You're worthless. Saturn in the second sucks. I'll be honest. It does. And you're not. You're not at all. But you have to, I think, mentally get prepared to empower yourself and to not overpower at the same time. Because that will lead to situations where something will get triggered and something will come up and then you will feel, disempowered and lack the confidence in some arena of life. Saturn making good aspects to the nodes. South node's in your 10th. Sextile to the north node in your 4th. You're kind of in a similar position as Capricorn here where it's not so much about, some kind of prestige or validation from the world. It's about your own self-confidence, your own comfort, your own security, and really building a foundation around who you are. You're in such a rebuild process for the next 20 years, but you might as well just embrace the rebuild and start feeling what that's like. And every time you feel it, every time some information presents itself, you're learning something, you're experiencing something, you're adapting, you're growing. This is such a great time for Aquarius to realize how mutable you actually can be. Even though you're a fixed sign, you can change, you can adapt, you can grow. There's so much to learn. You're a student to life, Aquarius. Be a student. You don't need validation from the world. You need to validate yourself by accepting mutation, by accepting adaptation, by changing up environment, having different conversations, maybe listening more, but building up who you are. This is your time to try and find confidence, but it's not about what other people in the world think or what your boss thinks. It's about what you think. It's about your family life, your home life, your community. What do they think of you? What does everything close to you think? That's a good reflection, and that's some truth that you should listen to as well. Venus is in your 5th. I mean, that's beautiful for, creative pursuits, romance. Be romantic. All these emotions, and about to be, Taurus season and come into your 4th house. I know you're like, no emotion. And I know that it can be a heady time too with all this 3rd house, but really accept the feelings and start creating based on your feelings. And who you're building this foundation around, start expressing it. That's the big trick. Is don't hide who you are right now. Express it, create it. Show yourself. This isn't a time to hide away. It's not time to just lock yourself up. It's just remolding your inner structure and literally your inner DNA and who you are. And it's going to take time. It's going to take process, but understand every time that a truth changes in your life or that you take in information and you learn something, it's changing your DNA a little bit so that you can build a new foundation and that you can feel comfortable and take authority and responsibility for that and be nurturing and helpful to others as well, and also be able to express and create situations that bring more love, happiness, and romance into your life. Mars is in your 6th house. That's a great place for Mars, to be honest, because it's just going to keep you going. Mars in the 6th doesn't seem to mind keeping going. It doesn't seem to mind the routine or the mundane. So through adaptions here, you'll be able to keep it going. It's like a well-oiled machine. Through the emotion, through the mental pressure that you could be feeling. Just going to kind of keep it going. But it is square Chiron in your 3rd, so look, your mind is either going to be your best friend, Aquarius, or it's going to be your worst enemy. And you can let that take you wherever you want to go, into an emotional pit of despair, into the highest of highs. It's your choice. You get to identify with what you want this world to be and how to start building the foundation for what it can be. But you have to be willing to, change things too. So it's good for change, but if you're scared of change, or if you don't feel safe in making a change and you want to just keep doing everything by the books, which is even the 10th house, society's book of how to live life, which, gosh, Aquarius doesn't want to do that. Don't be scared of new ideas. Don't be scared to innovate. Don't be scared to do something different in your life. This is a great opportunity to switch it up because of new feelings, new understandings of what you want, what makes you happy, what brings emotional, comfort into your life. Embrace the new truths. I think for Aquarius, it's just not being a know-it-all. Embrace adaptation, evolution, growth. Embrace that you're going to change and feel confident. Love yourself through it. and watch what happens. But I think the moment you think you're just going to keep things the same and nah, I'm not going to change it, oh yeah, something's going to happen that'll humble you from that thought, in my opinion. All right, last one, Pisces. I wonder if I can get it up here more. Yeah. All right, Pisces. Second house. Solar eclipse. Well, it's kind of an intense one. It deals with, of course, money, finances, but it really on the deeper level, it's always about self-worth. It's about your inner value system. It deals with comforts in life, and I think trying to find a stability and a safety in life. As humans, we always want to feel safe. So I think that, there is a focus here to build safety in your life based on your values, based on your self-worth, your values. Square Pluto in your 12th. I'll be honest, it's going to be subconscious things and patterns that you do that are going to keep you from safety. If you can't consciously recognize some of these patterns, it's going to show up in finances. It's going to show up in situations that make you feel like you're in lack. And this is not God hating you with Pluto in the 12th house. This is not to smite you in any way. This is just saying you have to tune in to these things that are on a subconscious repeat and realize that you can change it's going to change, and it's going to adapt and evolve into a way that gives you more quality, gives you more value. But it's you have to take time here to realize your own kind of toxic traits that are keeping you from more abundance in life. So abundance is just ready for the universe wants to give Pisces abundance here. It really does. But only if they can tune in to what they're scared of and what they don't want to see and what they just want to put off and say, no, 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 no. No, I don't want to look at that. Reminds me of the Four Cups. No. So this is a great opportunity for Pisces to really look deeply within and to take moments to, whether it's through meditation or just some quiet time or just some self-reflection time, to really see what you're doing day in and day out that is keeping you from feeling empowered, more confident, more steady, more grounded, more abundant. This is your chance. And if you don't, you're just going to be like, well, why the universe hate me? Because something from the universe will come in and, take more of your money, take more of your self-confidence, just because of a simple pattern recognition. So Pisces, it's an important time for you to, understand certain patterns in your life that are really just toxic traits that you want to obsessively, compulsively, and not even really know why hold on to. Those got to go. And I think that's the greatest opportunity in the world because, again, you have every ability right now to see that deep strength within you and to resolve that situation. And safety and security and abundance and money and confidence is just ready to be just powerfully grabbed by the balls, if you will. So, also, just obsessing over money and over, the physical life, the physical world, is probably not going to be the best route either. Because you also have to remember how powerful the unseen is and the universe and God, and that there is so much more than life than just the physical. So you're going to want to find a little bit of a balance there too, as well. And with Saturn in your first house, this is your time to really stamp this next 28 years into existence. So by taking responsibility